Good afternoon. You're welcome to Rel 105, Religion and Moral Value. The last time we met, we discussed the types of values. Over the past few lessons, I've taught you the values that we have conceptualized value. I've given you definitions of values, and we discussed types of values. And we've discussed personal values, religious values, moral values, and national values. I would like to do a little bit of recap on national values. I told you that different scholars and researchers have done a lot of work on national values, trying to know or profile the values of one nation or the other. They have been doing this using instruments and things that are inherent are known about a nation. And I told you that we have these values are gotten from the experiences, the history, and the tradition of these nations. So I would like to move further by explaining to you the classification of national values. National values can be classified into two. We have immaterial values. We call it material values of culture and material values or culture. You agree with me with the definitions of values that values are from culture. We get values of a particular group of people from their culture. The anthropologists describe values as the selections of desirables. Selection of desirables from influence selections. That is the conception of desirable which influence the selection from available modes. That's how the anthropologists define values. That is, we have a conception, either implicit or explicit, of the desirable, which influence the selection from available modes. That is, we have available modes. We have sets of values. They are available. However, values is selecting these desirable ones from many that are available. That's how they see values. That individual or a group of people, they have modes, many. They have a lot of belief system, a lot of principles. However, choosing or selecting desirable ones out of this many is what they see as values. While the philosophers and sociologists see values as a part of a whole, and the anthropologists see values from the cultural perspective, that is being a selection of desirables from many. The psychologists, they take values to be a belief system. They take it to be something that has to do with belief and attitude. That our beliefs and our attitudes makes up our values. So that they believe that what we take to be our values are things inherent in our beliefs, things that has to do with our beliefs, things that has to do with our attitude. That from our attitude we can easily deduce or depict the value of a man. That man depicts his value through its attitude. So human values to the psychologist has to do with the mental reasoning and beliefs of an individual. You agree with me that they are more or less saying the same thing. Values has to do with attitude, it has to do with behavior, it has to do with our principles, our fundamental principles, and how we relate in the society. These scholars, these philosophers, sociologists, psychologists, they try to just view it from the perspective of the discipline, making it easy for us to know the importance of values in human relation. Now, let's take types of values, or what we can say to be examples of values. they are inexhaustible. Types of values or samples of values are inexhaustible. Steve Pavina tried. He stopped at 418. For you to know that we have a lot of them. Out of this, we will try to examine few. These few we encompass some of the 418 listed by Steve Pavina. Now, these types or examples of values include the popular ones like honesty. We start with honesty, and we need to be very careful here, because many a times we take truthfulness to be honesty. We use it interchangeably, and they are not the same. To be truthful is not to lie. However, to be honest is beyond that. To be honest is beyond not lying. To be honest entails having the act of not being deceitful, even at the most difficult time. Honesty, to me, is the most valuable of all the values, if I can say that. And we list the value. Honesty cuts across many. Honesty cuts across many of the values that we can list. If you're honest, you will be loyal. If you are honest, you will be faithful. So honesty is beyond being truthful. It's beyond not lying. To be honest is not to be corrupt. To be honest is to be free of many of these of the vices. For example, you may decide not to lie and still not be honest. You may not lie. You can ask a friend a question, and that friend may decide not to lie and still not be honest. For example, if a friend should pick a pen from a table, if he's asked, did you pick a pen from this table? He may decide not to say yes or no. If he decides not to say yes or no, he's not lying. But he's not honest by not saying yes or no. I hope with that explanation you get what I'm saying. And also, honest is being devoid of any vices, being devoid of corruption, being devoid of telling lies or lying or these caprices. Honesty is something that comes from the heart. Honesty is almost impracticable, because if we truly examine what is taken to be honesty, we see that it's almost impracticable. It's not that easy for an individual, for a man, to be honest. And that is why, as I've said, is the most valuable of all values. I would like to move on to the next value, which is love. No culture, no religion in the world preaches against love and honesty. These are universal values. Same with love. Love is a universal value, it's a universal phenomenon. You see it everywhere. Everywhere you go to, you see love. Love is a value that people preach most. People preach it. Everywhere you go, you see people preaching love. Though love is not as appreciated as being preached. We see people still hating one another. We see people still not loving one another. This is the fact that is even one of the most commonly used words in the world. It's one of the, is I love you. People throw the word anyhow. People use it anyhow. It's a universal word. It's a universal values, and love is one of the most used words in the world. It has to do with the emotion it has to do with emotion. It has to do with sharing. Love is the mother of positive values. Where you see love, you see the display of many positive values. Because there is no way you show love and you will not show honesty. There is no way you show love, you will not show kindness. There is no way you show love, you will not show care. There is no way you show love, you will not show hospitality. There is no way you show love, you will not show faithfulness. So when you love, you are more or less faithful. You are faithful. So we say love is the mother of all positive values, because there is no way you show love, you show these positive values that I've listed. You cannot love and show negative values. From the beginning of this course, I told you that when we talk about values, we are not talking about just positive values. We have negative values. But when you show love, you show just the positive values and not negative values. And in Christianity, there's this saying that love encompasses all. Love differs. You agree with me that love differs. Now, we have loves between spouse, we have love between parents, that's between a child and the parents, that's motherly love, fatherly love, and the likes. We have spiritual love, and we have love that we call maybe platonic love, love that exists between friends, that exists between classmates. So when we talk about love as a human value is very important. In the relation or in relating with others, there is the need for that value. We cannot relate well in society with that very, very important value. Love is what makes our life worth living. It's when we love, then we exhibit these positive values. I can't imagine how human relation would be without love. The fact that love is even being preached every day, every minute, we still see war. Still see wars between countries, Cold War and even physical war. You see biological weapons being built every day. You see mates going to feast, fighting, physical combat. Despite the fact that love is being preached, you can imagine what the world would be like, what our life would be like without that love and the preaching of that love. And I will challenge you to continue to preach this, to continue to exhibit, and to not only preach. We have people that their heart is full of evil and still preach love. So we are not only preach love, we are to show love among ourselves, and that is how we can have a meaningful human relation. For this class, for this episode, we stop there at the explanation of that two important types of human values. When next we meet, we continue from there to discuss fairness, to discuss discrimination as a value, to discuss some other negative and positive human values. Don't forget to subscribe, the thumb up or thumb down to show how much you like this. So if you have any question, you are free to ask at the comment section. I wish you happy Easter, stay safe, be at home. Adhere to all the instructions given to us by the health officials. Wash your hands and wash your hands regularly from time to time, and stay at home. Please stay at home, stay safe. It's when you are safe that you can return to school and we'll see again. Expecting to see you soon. I believe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, this should be over and we should return to school. Bye.